Back in the SUV, got an exciting video here. I got 5 sleepers for Fantasy Football 2025, including a bonus one here for you. And listen, we don't stop here just because it's the off season. It's the only channel here grinding in minus 17 degrees Celsius, by the way. And I'm out here picking up my kids from school, and I got to keep the content rolling for you because the other Sheeps aren't going to be doing it right now because there's no benefit to them. They're not selling a product. They're not making any money right now. So like, hey man, we're not going to put out content, but this is the only channel that gives you the truth and winning fantasy football advice. So if you love the channel, if you love fantasy football, if you're here in the minus 17 in the SUV with me right now, and you love fantasy football and you want to hear, you're just craving that fantasy football content year round, make sure you guys hit the subscribe button, tap it, slap it, turn the bell on, and drop a comment below. Leave a sleeper name below, and I'll see if I consider them as a sleeper this year. Again, it's very, very early. Before I get to the list, again, I got 5 sleepers, including State of the End. I got a bonus one here for you. Before I get to these sleepers, I got to tell you, there's a lot of guys that were sleepers last year that aren't sleepers this year. I'll give you a quick example here, just to give you guys some context. Brian Thomas Jr., Christian Kirk was actually ranked ahead of him last year. Now the Sheep are riding. Brian Thomas Jr. is currently sitting 8th in PPR amongst wide receivers on the Sheep rankings. Ladd McConkey sitting 14th. Just to give you guys some context here, Malik Neighbors sitting at 6th amongst wide receivers. Unbelievable. And guys that they loved last year that have fallen off, and we're talking the best sleepers and how they can Sheeps just copy and paste and how they don't think ahead, right? Deebo Samuel is sitting 36th. Diggs is 41. Pittman is 45 amongst wide receivers. And Kirk, their golden boy, the guy they had ranked ahead of Brian Thomas Jr. when I told you Kirk sucks, and I told you Brian Thomas Jr. would be the guy. Kirk is ranked 55. Unbelievable. This is the type of stuff, man. You got to know who the sleepers are, and this is why this is the channel. So hit the thumbs up, subscribe, turn on that bell, and grab the 16-round draft. So you can also pre-order that now because rankings will not help you, okay? 16 rounds is the solution. I give you all the optimal players drafted each round, omitting guys like last year when everyone was telling you Deebo Samuel and Ayuk round 3. They were telling you Christian Kirk round, whatever, 6 or 7 it was. And I was telling you, grab Brian Thomas, grab Ladd McConkey, grab Malik. You got to think outside the box. The only way you're going to win your league, 16 rounds, you can pre-order it right now, okay? Let's dive into it. The first sleeper here, if you're new to the channel, again, hit the thumbs up, comment below, is Bo Nix. Now, Bo Nix finished 7th last year. Now, he's actually slid down. I'll tell you why he slid down. Because the Sheeps like to save face. They have their certain golden boys that they kind of stand by. They don't like taking risks. And Bo Nix, even though having a good season is a bit of a risk, he's not kind of that certain guy that they love, right? But remember, sometimes they do take risks, but they're stupid risks. Last year, Anthony Richardson finished 25th amongst quarterbacks, currently sitting 15th, was ranked 5th amongst quarterbacks. I told you, do not draft Anthony Richardson. You can't trust him. He's not that good. We haven't seen enough. Yet Anthony Richardson was a top 5 quarterback. Now, Bo Nix is sitting 13th when he finished 7th. So there's a lot of copying and pasting, but there's also a lot of favoritism towards certain players and them trying to save face. So I got Bo Nix here as a sleeper. Now, here's the thing. He actually was 12th in passing yards, which is awesome. 317.2 fantasy points, which put him 7th in fantasy points. He beat Mahomes, Kyler Murray, Jordan Love, and Herbert in fantasy points, and all these guys are ranked ahead of him, which is ludicrous. I mean, I got to see where Bo Nix is going off. I got to see who else they bring in. I hope they give him another wide receiver. I don't know. Sutton's a little old now. He still did well with guys like Sutton. So I think Bo Nix is great value. And if you anchor your team with an ace quarterback like a Josh Allen, if you can get Bo Nix after, I don't know if you'll be able to. He's 13th, so he might be coming off a little more expensive. I don't know if you want to spend high draft capital and get 2 quarterbacks, but if you want that value quarterback and not spend early draft capital on a Josh Allen, I really think Bo Nix could be special. I think he's like a Jaden Daniels. Jaden Daniels is obviously a little more expensive, but Bo Nix is special, but I think he's being slept on, okay? Number 2 here. This guy really isn't being slept on the rankings because he finished 13th, and the second guy here I'm talking about finished 13th, sitting at 7. So the Sheeps are a little higher on him, but he could be slept on in drafts still. Sitting 7th is pretty high, so he's not really being slept on, but he's still a name that could drop in the rankings just based on not being known, is Bucky Irving, right? So he's not really being slept on, but in a way he kind of is because he's not a huge name. Rachaad White just didn't get it done last year. I was telling you to stash Bucky in all your drafts. 16 rounds advised of this last year. But Bucky Irving, again, 207 attempts, 1,122 yards, 5.4 yards per carry, 8 touchdowns. That's not bad for a guy just getting in and stealing that job from Rachaad White. Now, some people say, it was, my last video when I talked about top 10 running backs, his volume was going up at the end of the season while Rachaad White's was going down because they realized that he was the better running back. So the fact that he had 207 attempts and the fact that he didn't get going until after week 6, 7, or whenever it was, where he started getting more of an increase in volume and attempts, the fact that he had 207 attempts shows me a good sign that this guy has some potential here. That being said, I only think he's just being slept on based on his name. I think that, he's going to come out of that first round. He's probably going to come out in the second round, I would assume. He'd be a nice stack if you're going robust RB with some of the top guys I mentioned. Check out the last video on top 10 running backs. You could probably get him as your RB2 in the second round as part of a robust RB strategy, okay? Number 3 here. Now, again, when we're looking at sleepers, we want to look at kind of who's coming down, who's trending up. The next guy here, and even the next 3 guys, are kind of trending upwards based on how everything falls together. But I also want to mention here that none of this really is as effective, what I'm saying here, until we know what happens with the draft. Now, there's a ton of great rookie running backs coming out of the draft this year that as soon as they pile in, it's going to screw up the depth chart. I keep picking on Chase Brown. I picked it on the last video. I don't know if he's a true RB1. I would imagine that the Bengals are going to draft another RB1, which is really going to destroy the value of a guy like a Chase Brown, right? But the guys that are proven, right, and go check yesterday's video. They're going to have their position essentially solidified. Guys like Kyron Williams, they drafted Blake Corum and he still maintained his job. So barring any injury, guys like Blake Corum, Saquon Barkley, and guys like that are going to be solidified in their position. Okay, so again, look for trending up, trending down when you're looking at sleepers. Okay, but number 3 here is Marvin Harrison Jr. Finished 30th last year amongst wide receivers, sitting 29th. Again, copying and pasting. Here's the thing, right? He was 21st in targets. I'd like to see that go up. Only 62 receptions on 116 targets, 885 yards, only 8 touchdowns. This is definitely going to go up. Remember, this guy was coming off round 2 in all drafts last year, while guys that were coming off much later, guys like Brian Thomas Jr., 8th, 9th round, guys like Lad McConkey, similar, 7 to 9 was typically where they're coming off ADP-wise. They're now inflated in value. Now, the problem is not so much a Marvin Harrison Jr. problem, it's more of a Kyler Murray problem. But that being said, I'm not really a Kyler fan, but he's got to continue to feed him. Like I said, 21st in targets. That's definitely going to go up. He's going to get more comfortable. They're going to get more rapport going. He's going to see more volume going his way. And for the value, like sitting as wide receiver 30, Marvin Harrison Jr., remember, he was a great talent. He was a top prospect, right? He's first wide receiver off the board, I believe, last year, right? He's good. So he can only get better. Man, it's going to be wild to see what he does. But I just think that for the value of the talent, knowing that he's going to get more volume, he's only going to have a better year and he's trending upwards. I mean, why not, depending on where he falls, grab yourself Marvin Harrison Jr., as part of your wide receiver core. Go for the youth, go for the upside, go for the talent. Again, I'm not really a Kyler Murray fan, but I don't have to pay a second round pick to get Marvin Harrison Jr. this year, which is amazing value, okay? And he's trending upwards. Number 4 and 5, and I also got a bonus for you. Before I get into that, head over to mybookie.ag. This is the site I use. Now, you're saying, well, football is over right now. It's February. What do I do? There's baseball, guys. There's going to be hockey. There's going to be MMA every weekend, pretty much. There's other sports to get into. So get in there, enhance that game watching experience right now. Mybookie.ag. Use code FFC. That's a site I use. And again, you can go create an account, put down your deposit, then you're all set for the NFL season in 2025. So mybookie.ag. Go create an account. Use code FFC right now. You guys will be very happy with the site. Go create an account. Put down a deposit, all right? Remember, use that code FFC. All right. Number 4 here. Not a guy that's like, a neck turner or an eye turner for me, but I still like him. I think there's some potential here. He was a 3rd round pick. The guy I'm talking about is Jalen McMillan, sitting 47th amongst wide receivers on the Consensus rankings. Finished 55th last year. The reason I like McMillan, and I think he's a big sleeper, is because first of all, he had a good campaign last year. He was a 3rd round pick. Not bad, but the 58 targets for 37 receptions, 8 touchdowns, 461 yards, not bad considering Godwin was there. Now, Godwin did get hurt, missed a lot of time. There's talk, at the time of this recording, there's talk that they're not going to franchise tag him, and there's also talk that they may bring him back. I'm not sure exactly what's going on with Godwin, but assuming he doesn't come back, McMillan could really, really shine at that wide receiver 2 role. And again, you're getting immense value for a guy who had 8 touchdowns last year. This guy outperformed wide receiver 1s on certain teams. Like, he has some upside, okay? Like, he has some talent. I think, he's young, right? Whereas Evans is a little bit older. He could really, really emerge, and he's got that rapport with the QB. So Jalen McMillan, not the sexiest pick, but a big-time sleeper with some upside as long as Godwin gets shipped off. And Godwin gets hurt a lot. So I'm wondering if it was an ankle thing, put him out for the season. I'm going to have to see what happens with Godwin. But again, barring any injury to McMillan, he could also have a good season as long as Godwin is shipped off. Now, it was very, very hard to find sleepers, especially when, the draft hasn't happened yet, because there's going to be a lot of rookie sleepers. And the last one, again, is going to be a rookie sleeper. But I will tell you that just by looking, a lot of guys that could be viable, the older guys, Keenan Allen's, the Stephon Diggs of the world, they're just better value this year. The sheep are completely off them. Like I said, Deebo Samuel is sitting 36 right now. Diggs is 41, Pittman 45. These are guys that were coming off second, third round last year. So there's going to be a lot of sleepers, not particularly sleepers that I like, because I don't like the older wide receivers. But if they're sitting there and I'm like, man, I wouldn't mind having some more wide receiver depth, and they landed a good position. Like some of these guys are free agents or whatever. They switch teams, right? I think Devontae Adams is talking about ending up on the Chargers, which could really hurt McConkey's value. That's a whole other discussion. At the time of this recording, I heard, Adams is interested in the Chargers, right? We're going to have to see, but there's going to be some value, okay, with some of these veteran wide receivers depending on their landing spot, okay? Number 5 here, again, we're talking about guys trending up, and we've already kind of seen what guys like Brian Thomas Jr. and McConkey could do, and Malik Neighbors, and they're more expensive, right? But what about Rome Odunze coming at number 5 here for a sleeper? Rome Odunze, guys, this guy was a top first-round pick. I think he was like, 9th overall or something crazy like that. Go look it up. But here's the thing, 101 targets last year. Keenan Allen getting shipped off. He's going to get shipped off. The 121 targets are going to be essentially be freed up. I don't think DJ Moore is that good. I think Caleb Williams is going to take a step up this year. I think Rome is the best talented receiver out of that core. As long as he gets the volume, only 3 touchdowns, that's definitely got to go up. But the 101 targets last year and the fact that Allen's probably not going to be there next year is really appealing to me for a guy who's hungry, young, and ready to kind of step up his game. Remember, you were getting ripped off last year in fantasy drafts when everyone was telling you to draft DJ Moore, and pretty much it was Allen and then Rome, and pretty much right after each other. It was stupid. I was telling you, don't do that. Like, you're wasting draft capital. Like, Rome was like round 6. I think it was like DJ Moore was like round 3, and then Allen was like round 4. I'm like, dude, there's not enough target distribution to go around to make these guys top 15, 20 wide receivers. So again, now Rome takes a step up. You got no one to hold him, no one to fold him. I think there's some opportunity for Rome Odunze becoming a sleeper. Currently sitting as wide receiver 34. Great value where, again, you got way more expensive guys like Brian Thomas Jr., who's sitting literally, at 8, Ladd McConkey at 14 amongst wide receivers in the rankings, and Malik at 6. Very expensive when I get myself a Harrison and a Rome who are trending upwards, who still have similar talent. They just got to get that target volume, and things got to work out on the depth chart, all right? Again, hit the thumbs up. I got one more for you here. As a rookie, and I talked about him yesterday in my running back video, and I'm going to keep talking about him right now. And there's going to be other running backs which I'll start talking about depending on where their landing spots are. But the guy I'm talking about is Ashton Jeanty. Ashton Jeanty does have some upside, guys. 2,600 yards last year, 370 whatever it was attempts. Receptions, he's getting it done in the receiving game. He was second Heisman voting for the Heisman Trophy. He is going to end up on the Cowboys, I think. There's some talk about him not potentially ending up on the Cowboys. Maybe the Chargers pick him up or something. Who knows, right? I hope he lands on the Cowboys. I hope the Cowboys actually utilize him as a workhorse, because they haven't done that with a running back since Zeke Elliott in his rookie year in 2017 or 16 or whatever it was. So, Jeanty, I think he's going to be a sleeper. And you say, well, Joe, he's not a sleeper. And people were arguing with me last night in my yesterday's video. As of right now, he's sitting 19th amongst running backs. Again, that's going to go up as soon as we find out his landing spot. But as of right now, he is a sleeper at running back, and I would love to get him. He's probably not going to fall, but I'd love to get him in the 3rd round. But I can imagine this guy coming off round 2 as soon as we find out where he lands. But as of right now, February, he is a sleeper, sitting 19th amongst running backs, where this guy's got top 5, top 10 potential based on volume, opportunity, and talent. Love the upside, all right? So those are the best fantasy football sleepers for 2025. Early list, getting the discussion going, getting your brain kind of understanding what's going on. But ultimately, stay glued to the channel and get 16 rounds for all the answers. The first release of 16 rounds comes out second week in May, typically 2 weeks after the NFL draft. I lay it all out as soon as I find out where these rookies land and how the depth charts fizzle out. Because again, last year, as soon as Brian Thomas Jr. landed where he was, I'm like, man, great opportunity. Ladd McConkey, great opportunity. I saw this, and I'm able to see this while consensus are just copying and pasting and just, playing favorites with certain player names. Not how you're going to win your league, guys. I'm for the people, and I want you guys to win. That's why I created and started my brand. Listen, drop a thumbs up, hit the thumbs up, smash it, tap it, slap it, and I'll keep the content rolling for you guys daily here at the #1 fantasy football podcast. Follow on social channels, join the Discord group. I'll see you in the next video. I'm out.